Good afternoon, guys. Good morning, guys. Good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel and yet another live stream where, as you can see on screen today, we are talking about our Premier League team of the season. And I say our Premier League team of the season because this isn't just going to be my opinion. I'm going to, of course, give you my thoughts and some stats behind some certain players, but I also want you guys to get involved as well. So drop a quick hello in the chat. Let me know how your guys' days are going. What's up, AJ? Hope you're having a great day. I am having a good day, thank you. I hope you are too. Didn't know he was streaming today. I did put out a community post this morning, but I don't think that everybody sees them. So, surprise, we're live today. We will, of course, wait a bit before we properly get into the live stream so people have a chance to join. But first things first, let me know some players that you think should be in our Premier League team of the season. Whether they're Manchester United players, Manchester City, Arsenal, Newcastle, let me know some players which should be in this team because the Premier League season is finished now. So let me know some people that you would like to see. I think a large part of the fan base on the channel are Manchester United fans. If we can try and avoid bias, that would be ideal. I done a poll the other year to do my team of the season and the results were certainly skewed by the fact that the fan base is Manchester United fans. So if we could avoid that, that would be ideal. But I think you guys are pretty intelligent. You seem to kind of know your stuff. So get in the chat and let me know some players which you think should be making our team of the season. And also just let me know how your day is going. Whereabouts in the world are you watching? What you've been up to this week? A little bit of everything. And also maybe some brief thoughts on the FA Cup final coming up this weekend. Because if people stay around long enough, that is something which we will be discussing towards the end of the stream. So, yeah, before we get into it, let me know some early thoughts, share the stream with your friends so we can get as many people in here as possible. I think this might be a bit of a quieter stream than some of the other ones because we're streaming at a different time of day, and also the topic hasn't got Manchester United in the title, so that might affect the people which are going to watch this. But still, whoever does join, I hope you enjoy it. We will be, of course, talking through our teams, and yeah. Someone saying I've got faith for the FA Cup final, got to protect the legacy. Really, really big game that's going to be. I will be doing a preview later today. I think I'm recording it, or tomorrow. That will be on the channel on Friday. But yeah, that's going to be a difficult one to preview. Of course, talks that someone like Anthony might be out. We know that it looks like Martial is now going to be out of that game as well. So that will be a very difficult video for me to preview. Got to try and find some Manchester City weaknesses. And that's quite hard to do because some of their players this season have been absolutely phenomenal. Has anyone got anything they want to say, though, before we get into the stream? Like I said, again, share the stream with your friends if you can. Let people know that we are live, what we are discussing. Has anyone got any ideas to what I could change the title to maybe get some more Manchester United fans in without clickbaiting people? If anyone's got any ideas, then do let me know down below in the chat. Let me know what you think. But yeah, like I said, again, we are just going to leave it a couple of minutes before we get into things, just so people have time to grab a drink, let me know how their day's going, but also so people have time to get into the stream. Also, just to double check, I take it that you can all hear me fine. Let me know if there are any audio or video problems, and we will get it sorted. Also, apologies if you hear my dog in the background. I'm home alone today, so he is in my room. He might make some noise during the video, but tough luck. What can you really do? He might make an appearance if he jumps over or something, but he's cute, so it's not a problem. But yeah, has anyone got anything, early kind of thoughts on what their Premier League team in the season would be? I can give you a quick glimpse, if you like, of some of the players that we're going to be talking about. If I can find it here. These are some of the players that we are going to be discussing in the live stream today. Some of these players, which for me should be on the shortlist, certainly for this Premier League team of the season. Certain people will disagree, of course, because we always disagree on these things. Let me know if you have any kind of outside shouts, anyone that I haven't got on this list. That would also be greatly appreciated, because there's a decent chance I've probably missed someone obvious. This stream was set up in a little bit of a rush, so there might be some obvious players I've missed. So if there are any, then do let me know in the chat below. But if no one else has anything to say, we are going to kind of get straight into this. And the first thing I want to say is that your participation in this is going to be really important. So if you guys could be kind of letting me know in the chat different players, that would be greatly appreciated. For example, for the goalkeeper position, straight away, we can see we've got Alisson, Pope and Ramsdale. Those are the three that I have suggested. Let me know in the chat if there is anyone that I have missed. I dare say someone might say someone like David De Gea, someone like that, Jordan Pickford for Everton. So let me know any that I have missed, but also let me know your vote on who you think should be our goalkeeper. As I've said already, I've kind of got my thoughts on every different position. I've got a rough idea of the team of the season in my head, but let me know some different players that you would like to see. Because again, there's a very, very decent chance that I have missed someone. So let's get this started with a goalkeeper vote. Who would you go for as the Premier League goalkeeper of the season for this year? Alisson, Pope or Ramsdale? Let me know in the chat, and also let me know if there are any players which I've missed out. Like I said, some people might suggest De Gea or Pickford, something like that. Let me know who you think. So straight away, I'm seeing that someone has Alisson in their team, and that's kind of the direction that I would be heading in. That's a second vote for Alisson as well. I think he's had a really good season. Liverpool, they haven't been great this year. They've had quite a poor season. They kind of improved towards the end of the year, but at the start of the season were really poor. Alisson kept them alive. In terms of post-shot XG, which is basically when someone shoots, once the ball has left their foot, what is the likelihood of the ball going in the back of the net? If it's a 1, it means the keeper's basically got no chance. If it's 0.01, the goalkeeper should save it. So Alisson's post-shot XG this season, he has saved Liverpool an extra 10 goals over what you would expect, which is just ridiculous. 10.1, I believe it is. There you go. Someone just put it in chat. It's an absolute joke that he performed at that rate. Now, Nick Pope was kind of at 0.3, which is okay. It's about average for a goalkeeper. Ramsdale was on -2, which isn't very good. However, I still think all three of these deserve to be in contention. Pope and his ability to sweep up behind his defence has been very important this season, the second highest in the league for defensive actions outside of his penalty area. And things like Ramsdale's passing, his saving, a bit of everything has been important to Arsenal. But is everyone in agreement that Alisson should be our goalkeeper? If so, we will move straight on to the next position. If everyone is agreed, which I think we are. So what we will do is we will quickly go over to here and put Alisson in our team. And then when we have our final team, we can put it all together. So Alisson is going to go in goal. Is everybody happy with Alisson as our goalkeeper for this? If so, we will move on to the next position and we'll go to left back. Where for me, we've got Luke Shaw, Estupiñán and Zinchenko. Again, they've all had really good seasons in different ways. Estupiñán, perhaps a bit more of a surprise player, moving into the Premier League, his first season in a division, and he's been really good. In recent weeks, he has had kind of a couple slight errors leading to goal, which hasn't been ideal, of course, but I still think he's had a really good season, and he's attacked really well for Brighton, and, you know, as you'll see as we go through this, there's several different Brighton players which make the debate. Zinchenko, of course, a really good season for Arsenal, an experienced player, and from a technical point of view, he has been absolutely vital. Of course, from a tactical point of view as well. His ability to not only play as a left-back, but also invert into the midfield, into the double pivot, has been absolutely vital to Arsenal. And the second he has kind of dropped out of the team at any point during the season, the performances for Arsenal have dropped massively, so he has been vital. And then, of course, 140 Manchester United fans, Luke Shaw. Now, Luke Shaw is a player who I still think is really underrated. For me, he's one of the most underrated, most disrespected players in the world. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. I've done a video covering it recently, how good he is from a technical point of view. But particularly in this United side, he's so good at providing a bit of press resistance for the team. He's so good at passing the ball forward. He's so good at carrying the ball forward, creating in the final third. But also, this season, we've also seen him play at centre-back as well. Just after the World Cup when Lisandro Martinez was unavailable, and then in the past couple of months when the centre-backs got injured, Luke Shaw has filled in at centre-back and done a really very good job. I would make an argument for him being one of the best centre-backs in the league this season, let alone a left-back. So let me know in the chat who you guys would be going for the left-back. Again, if we'll go to a vote, just put one word basically, either Shaw, Estupiñán or Zinchenko, or again, let me know if I have missed anyone. So the first one I'm seeing is Shaw, no doubt. I think, yeah, again, if it's my opinion, I would say Luke Shaw. I think Zinchenko and Estupiñán have both been good, and I understand why they are in people's teams, but I think Shaw has been a big part of why Manchester United have had a good season. The fact that he's been available on a regular basis for one of the first times in his career as well, that has certainly helped. But yeah, for me, he's just a fantastic player. Again, get in chat below, guys. I need to hear your thoughts on the vote. So far we've got 2 votes for Shaw. If you guys could let me know some other votes as well, just while I have a drink. The only answer I'm seeing at the moment is Luke Shaw. Have I missed anyone? Are there any outside shouts? Can you think of any maybe really young players who have broke onto the scene this season and done well at left back, or perhaps a left back for a mid-table team? I think for me, it has to be Luke Shaw as the main one, but can you think of anyone else that I've left out? Personally, I can't. Nathan Ake for Manchester City has done a good job at left back, to be fair. I would certainly have him. I'd have him up there in the debate. But yeah, I think for me it has to be Luke Shaw, and it looks like everyone is in agreement. So we are going to go over and put Luke Shaw into our team here. Put Luke Shaw straight in at left back. Bish, bash, bosh. There we go. Luke Shaw is now in the team. And we are going to move on to... Let's move on to the centre-back positions. Should we go centre-back or should we go right-back? Let's go to the right-back position, actually. Where we've got two for this position for me. We've got Kieran Trippier or Ben White. Those are the two which are in the debate for me. I don't think I've missed anyone here. Kyle Walker for Manchester City has been good in spells, but also had spells out of the team. Manchester United, Dalot, Wan-Bissaka, not really. Chelsea, Reece James, just not been available this season. Trent Alexander-Arnold for Liverpool, not really there until later on in the season. Hasn't had a great year. Still produced very well creatively, but been a bit exposed on the defensive side. So for me, it's Trippier and White. I think perhaps if Arsenal had gone on to win the Premier League, I think people might have kind of lent more towards Ben White because, you know, he was, again, a key tactical part of the team, tucking into the back three, whilst Zinchenko was more of a midfielder in this position. Ben White's ability to tuck in from a defensive point of view, but also to get forward and support the attack, support Bukayo Saka, has been really important. But when we look at Kieran Trippier this season, I've got some numbers here. He's got 7 assists in the Premier League this season, which is really, really impressive. Now, yes, that does include set pieces, which, you know, makes it look slightly less impressive. He has an expected assists in the Premier League of 11.78. So realistically, he should have 4, 5, 6 more assists than what he's had this season. And I think his experience in that Newcastle team has been very important. I think his attacking role as well. We often see Dan Burn at left back tucks in a bit more. It allows Trippier to get forward down his right hand side. He's been really good. Hi Codename, welcome to the stream. How about Kyle Walker? I think Kyle Walker would be another shout. I think he's been very good, but I would argue maybe some of his better performances might have been in the Champions League this season. But yeah, he certainly had a really good season, Kyle Walker, again, as he pretty much always does. But obviously that was that spell earlier in the year where he lost his place to Rico Lewis. So Kyle Walker isn't going to make my team unless enough people kind of vouch for it in the chat. So let me know what you think. And again, if you guys can think of a different title for the stream to try and get more Manchester United viewers kind of watching, let me know if you've got any ideas. At the moment, it's my Premier League team of the season. I'm trying to think of what we could change it to. Should we just change it to Premier League team of the season vote? Should we just do that? Is that the best way to do it? And then people can get involved if they want to. If not, it doesn't really matter. I think had to depends on how do you want to play. Yeah, let's just, for this particular one, we might maybe kind of figure out a more balanced team towards the end of the video. But just for the sake of this part, let's just go who has played the best this season. Trippier or Ben White? We'll put Kyle Walker in the vote as well, because a couple of people are saying it. But literally, one word, who are you going to pick? For me, it's Kieran Trippier. So just get in the chat and let me know with a one-word answer. If you want to back it up with a reason as well, you certainly can. But I'm seeing 1, 2, 3 Trippiers. Pedro Porro is a really good shout, actually. I think he has done well since coming in. Probably hasn't done it for long enough, as he's only come in January. But yeah, he's certainly a player to keep an eye on for next season. And I really like it as an outside shout. He scored some important goals for Spurs this season. So Pedro Porro is a good shout. But it looks like Trippier is going to win the vote for this one. So unlucky Ben White, mate. On to the bench you go. And let's put Kieran Trippier into our team. For anyone joining the chat now, this is our team so far. We've got Alisson in goal, Luke Shaw at left back, Kieran Trippier at right back. And yeah, now we're going to move on to the centre back positions. Trippier, amazing chance creator as a right back, highly dangerous on set piece. Absolutely. I'm not sure when you just joined the stream, but I was just saying a second ago, he's got 11.78 expected assists this season, which is just absolutely ridiculous for a fullback. Now, as you say, a lot of that does come from set pieces, some of it is open play as well. But in general, those are really, really impressive numbers for a fullback. If a midfielder was producing just under 12 expected assists over the course of a Premier League season, I would be impressed. So the fact that he's done it from right back is really very good. In a side which at times is a little bit conservative. So yeah, I completely agree with everyone in chat. Trippier should be there, but but I like Walker as a shout, and I really like Pedro Porro as a shout as well. Now on to the centre-back positions, where maybe this is the first position where I need to kind of say before we get into it, let's try and avoid bias if we can. We'll start off with right centre-back, where for me, we've got John Stones, who second half of the season has been absolutely brilliant, and it has been his tactical flexibility which has allowed Manchester City to change their system, which has seen them really grow, and for me, that's why they went on to win the Premier League. You've got Saliba, who was a big part of Arsenal's really good first half of the season, where they were absolutely brilliant, and we saw the drop-off in the team when he came out during the second half of the season. Ruben Dias, for me, a player who is really important to Manchester City. He has leadership qualities at the back, but also his technical ability when defending have been really important, and then Thiago Silva as well. Despite the chaos at Chelsea this season, Chelsea haven't conceded too many goals at all, and actually defensively they've been pretty good. Thiago Silva's ability to kind of settle things has been a big part of it. Harry Maguire I'm seeing as a shout. I'll be honest, Harry Maguire isn't going to make my team of the season. I'll tell you what, if enough people vote for Maguire, Maguire can get in. But it feels unlikely to me. Akanji is also a good shout. What number is Akanji before we put him in? Is he 25? Is Akanji 25? We'll put him in as a shout as well. I would argue maybe this season he's been more of a shout for the left centre-back position, because that's where he's played on a slightly more regular basis. So we'll bring him into the second half of the vote. But for this one, let's just go John Stones, Saliba, Ruben Dias, and Thiago Silva. I don't think we could separate set piece or open play. If you can get goal, assist, either set piece or open play, that made you dangerous. Yeah, I completely agree. Talking about Trippier, yeah, whether it's set pieces or open play is arguably a tad more impressive because it's a larger part of the game. It takes up a larger percentage of a football match. But yeah, it's really important from set pieces as well. I think set pieces are really underappreciated in football. So yeah, I completely agree. How about Virgil van Dijk? I've seen there. For me, Virgil van Dijk hasn't had a very good season. I still think he's a very good centre-back, and I think next season, when Liverpool improve, we will see him a bit closer to his best. But this season, due to a bad structure from Jurgen Klopp and bad performances and bad recruitment or lack of recruitment in the midfield, Van Dijk has been too exposed, made mistakes, conceded too many goals this season. So Van Dijk isn't going to make the vote for me. So let's just round up on the vote. We've got John Stones, Saliba, Dias, and Thiago Silva. Who do we want as right centre-back? I like the idea of Ethan Pinnock as well. Did he score at the weekend, I believe? I haven't watched enough of Brentford this season to really give a concrete opinion. But yeah, when I've watched Pinnock, he has played well. So that is a nice little shout as well, as kind of a team outside of the big top six. Any final voters on this? So far, we've got 3 votes on Saliba. We've got a vote on Akanji. Harry Maguire's got a vote, so he might make a late push. But as it stands, we are going to be going for Saliba. Anyone got any objections to Saliba? I'm not seeing any. I'm not seeing any objections. All right, we'll take John Stones out. I don't think he's getting any votes. We'll take Thiago Silva out. I don't think he's getting any votes. I'm not going to bother typing out Harry Maguire, although I like the shout. Let's go for Saliba. Saliba is going to be our right centre-back. Levi Colwill, we will come on to that for the left centre-back position. In fact, I can't believe I haven't already written him down. What number's Colwill? Is he number 5? Number 6? Number 26. I'm really showing myself up here. I'm a massive Levi Colwill fan. Can you let me know what number Levi Colwill is? If not, I'll search it real quick. I absolutely adore Levi Colwill. I was watching him in the Championship last season because I kind of got tipped off that he was a really good young player, so I made a real effort to watch him, and he's a brilliant player. Number 6, thank you very much. Lindelof is also a really good shout, I think more so for the second half of the season. During the first half, we didn't really see him getting too much action. Have I had the wrong tactics board on screen this whole time? Have you guys been seeing this screen or this screen? Hang on. Have you been seeing this board with everyone written down like this? Or have you been seeing the one with the few players on it? I might have been showing you guys the wrong screen this whole time. Apologies for that. It's in the last couple of minutes. We're going to put Saliba into this team. Apologies if I have been showing you guys the wrong thing. I'm not sure if I have or not. But that is going to be our team of the season so far. So far we've got a Liverpool player, a Manchester United player, an Arsenal player, and a Newcastle player. You've been seeing both? Okay, good. Just checking I had it right. Which is actually quite interesting. So we've nearly finished our defence now, and Manchester City haven't even got a player in the team yet, which is quite interesting. But we will continue with this and move on to left centre-back, where we've got a few real candidates for this role. Now, you've got Akanji, who traditionally is not a left-sided centre-back. He is actually a right-sided centre-back so far in his career. But this season, he's done really well on the left-hand side for Manchester City, even played games at left-back, been very, very good, played way more football than I think anyone expected. We've got Gabriel for Arsenal, a big player, a really important player in one of the best defences in the Premier League this season. In general, I think he's a really underrated player. Do I think he's one of the best centre-backs in the world? No. Do I think he's had one of the best seasons? Absolutely. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. And he was hurt by Saliba leaving the team. Before Saliba left, he was doing very well. We've got Lisandro Martinez. Everyone knows all about Lisandro Martinez. I'm sure most of you are Manchester United fans. So you probably know all about Lisandro Martinez. You know how much of a fan I am. Someone saying they would challenge Alisson in selection. Who would you get in instead of Alisson? We can always go back and change it towards the end if people have different opinions. So let me know who you would go for instead. So far at left centre-back, we've got Gabriel, we've got Lisandro Martinez, we've got Akanji. We'll add Sven Botman in. Really good season for Newcastle. So Nick Pope is your shout. Okay, I will come back onto that in just a second. I completely understand him. He was someone who we had in our shortlist. If I can find him under the mess of players somewhere, we did have Nick Pope in the shortlist. So we will come back onto that in a bit. I will just cover that for you. What were we on? Botman at left centre-back. Again, new to the Premier League, really cracked on and done really well. I was saying this time last year, it's a signing they should be making. They made it. He's been absolutely brilliant. Very good player. I like any left-foot defender, really, but he's done really well. And then Levi Colwill, who realistically probably hasn't played enough football to make our team of the season, but I think as a young player, an outside shout, he has been absolutely phenomenal. Keep an eye on him. I think in the next 3 seasons, he's going to develop into one of the best ball-playing defenders in world football. He's already way better than what people realise. He is absolutely fantastic. Had a brilliant season for Brighton. I'm interested to see where he ends up next season. But remember Colwill, because he is phenomenal. And England have a real good young centre-back for the future there. So those are the 5 that we are going to go for as our left centre-back debate. Lewis Dunk as a shout as well. Again, a really good player, really underrated. I can't believe he hasn't had more time in the England team, because Lewis Dunk is very, very good. Do you think I might do an analysis on Burnley to show what we can expect in the Premier League from them? That's actually a really good idea. I hadn't thought of that. I will literally write that down right now. It would probably be a few weeks away towards the end of the summer, when they've made a few signings. But yeah, that is certainly something that we can look at. How about Luke Shaw at centre-back? Yeah, he would be in the debate if we didn't already have him at left-back, because he has been really very good. Let me just write down that Burnley idea, because that's a brilliant idea. So thank you very much. What are our votes on this left centre-back position then? Right, one word. We've got Botman, we've got Gabriel from Arsenal, we've got Lisandro Martinez, we've got Akanji, and we've got Levi Colwill. So just with one word, or you can give a reason as well if you want to expand on it. Who are you going to go for? Lisandro Martinez is the first vote I have seen. I'll be biased and vote for Martinez, but I think Akanji deserves it. Okay, Botman, Martinez. What would my opinion be? Great question. I would probably just edge towards Botman, but I think any of these, apart from realistically Colwill, I think any of these 4 could get it. I think Gabriel's been brilliant this season, so I would probably edge towards Botman. I think I made my team of the season the other day. Let me see who I ripped them. This is the thing with a team of the season as well. It changes constantly. So this is the team I made towards... When did I make this team? I can't even find it. Maybe I didn't make a team of the season. Okay, so the other day when I done it, I had Lisandro Martinez as my left centre-back. And he is the one winning the vote at the moment. So unless anyone has any objection to Lisandro Martinez being in our team, Lisandro Martinez is going to make it. I think that's a very good point, actually. The fact that he was kind of written off very early in the season by, so-called experts. He's absolutely brilliant. I think he's so important to United. He brings something which no one else brings. Yeah, I think he's absolutely quality. Easy for me to say. And I think he's proven the change of direction that the Premier League has taken. There were so many comments, as you're saying there, that, he isn't tall enough. He isn't tall enough to play centre-back in the Premier League. And it just shows the ignorance of English-based football fans. There is so much quality in other leagues. It's not all about being big and strong and physical. There are so much more qualities that are more important than that in the modern day, in top teams. So yeah, we will go for Lisandro Martinez there. And that is our That's our back five finished. We've got a goalkeeper and our back four. And, you know, we might come back to some of these towards the end. But we've gone through 5 players now, and we don't have a Manchester City player yet, which is quite interesting because they won the Premier League. So that's quite interesting. Anyway, as I say, let's get back to it, and let's go for a holding midfielder. Where for me, realistically, we probably should see our first Manchester City player here. We'll see what you guys think. For me, Rodri is one of the most important players in world football. The way that he plays the role for Manchester City is phenomenal. Do I think anyone else could do the job which he currently does for them? Probably not. Not to the same standard. I think, of course, you know, someone like Busquets, Prime Busquets would be kind of playing a similar sort of role. Rodri is so good. I think not only on the ball is he really impressive in the way that he kind of keeps things ticking over for Manchester City. He's able to move the ball side to side. His temperament and his kind of intelligence on the ball, really good. His forward passing, but also his physicality from a defensive point of view is so important to them. A couple of questions in chat. What's the formation? You guys can decide that. I'm happy to either go for a 4-4-2, maybe to get our 2 strikers up here in the team, or kind of a 4-3-3. So, let me know. Again, we can kind of change as we go on. And someone saying that is quite a short defensive line. Yeah, this team would not deal very well with the long ball. Maybe that's why we need someone like Rodri. So, okay, kind of the options on the structure we could go for example, we could go for someone like Rodri and, let's say, Odegaard, for example, and we could go for a Kane and Haaland front two, like this. Or we could go for just Haaland up front, like this, and go into more of a 4-3-3 and do something like that. So, it's up to you guys. Personally, I like the idea of getting 2 strikers in just because I think Harry Kane has been phenomenal. I think he's been ridiculously good, actually. I think the number of goals he scored this season have been a joke. So I would quite like to go for a front 2 if we can. We could always switch it to a diamond as well, or a wide 4-1-3-2, something like this. Could do something like that maybe. Get a couple of wingers in the team. It's really up to you guys. Someone saying my pick actually go for Guimaraes, strong, extremely press resistant. Guimaraes is absolutely brilliant. The second he drops out of that Newcastle team, the drop off is mental. Like the amount that team drops off when Guimaraes isn't in a team is quite scary. So I'm seeing a vote for 4-4-2. I've seen someone say 4-3-3. Okay, 4-4-2 at the moment has the most votes. So what we will do is, for now, we will stick with a 4-4-2 and kind of talk about the shape as if we would be in a 4-4-2. So pick some midfielders. Let me know your votes. Let me put all of the midfielders in the top left up here. So we've got Rodri, who is the one for me which really should be there, but if you guys want to vote otherwise, that's fine. But we've kind of got our 4 players here who would maybe play as more of a deeper midfielder. And then we've got Kevin De Bruyne, we've got Bruno Fernandes, we've got Alexis McAllister, we've got Odegaard, and we've got Gundogan. Now, if we have any debates on any players, I do have some numbers to back some of them up. So let me know what you think. Rodri and Bruno, Rodri, De Bruyne, Odegaard, so that would of course be a 4-3-3. I want Casemiro, but there are times Casemiro dropped in quality. Let me give you a bit of a context on Casemiro and the holding midfielders. So let's look at this top row up here. We've got Rodri, Casemiro, Caicedo, and Guimaraes. For me, those have been the 4 most underrated players. What am I saying? The 4 best deep midfielders in the Premier League this season. These 4 up here. I think they've been right up there. The problem that Casemiro has is he's missed 10 games entirely in the Premier League. And, you know, do the maths, in a 38-game season, that's over a quarter of the games of the Premier League season Casemiro hasn't even been available for. Do I think he deserved the suspensions? No, personally. I think they were both harsh. But he did still miss those games. Can you make a Premier League team of the season if you miss a quarter of it? Let me know what you think. Although you could make the same argument for Lisandro Martinez, to be fair. But Casemiro has played 28 games this season. Guimaraes has played 32. Rodri has played 36. Caicedo has played 37. So Casemiro has played 2,127 minutes. Caicedo has played 1,000 minutes more in the Premier League. So we've got Casemiro on around 2,100. Guimaraes on around 2,700, so 600 more. Rodri on about 2,900 and Caicedo on 3,100. João Palhinha is also an incredible shout and he's a really, really good player, massively underrated. This time last year when he was making the move to Fulham, I could not believe that he was going to Fulham. No disrespect to Fulham, he is absolute quality. But yeah, Palhinha's a really good player. And, you know, maybe if we had more room, we would add him into this as well, because he is really very good. And has had a really good season, really important season. Play midfield 3, Casemiro, Guimaraes and Kevin De Bruyne. You have elite playmaking plus midfield defence. Very true, but also don't worry, guys, if the team isn't balanced. We might try and make it more balanced towards the end of the video. But for now, let's just try and go with the best midfielders this season. So if you want to go for a midfield 2 of Fernandes and De Bruyne, for the purpose of this video, we can do that. That's absolutely fine. So let me know. We've got a few different. So what we got so far? We've got, someone has said Guimaraes. I've seen Casemiro. I've seen Rodri and Fernandes. I've seen Rodri, De Bruyne and Odegaard. Bruno, the true playmaker of the season. I completely agree. And again, I'll back that up with some numbers in a second. Bruno, so underrated. Absolutely. João Palhinha, Casemiro, Guimaraes, De Bruyne. I could do a team of the season for bottom half teams as well. We can do that towards the end of the stream if you guys want that. If we have time, I can do that. It might take, obviously I don't have that set up, but if you guys give me some names, we can do that if anyone's interested. But let me know, what would be your kind of, who are you going for? What midfielders? I personally am going to put Rodri forward. Because this is like 9 players for 2 or 3 positions, it's quite difficult to get a kind of finalised decision from chat. Personally, I'm going to go for Rodri. It's up to you guys. Do we want to put 1 next to him or do we want to put 2 next to him? If we're putting 2, who are we going for? If we're putting 1, who are we going for? To make the case between, because I think 3 players which would be in contention are probably Bruno Fernandes, De Bruyne and Odegaard. If we want a creative midfielder, I think those 3 would be quite close to each other. For a bit of context, so Odegaard has 15 goals in the Premier League this season, which has really boosted Arsenal, and his expected goals is around 10, so he's actually performed really well with his finishing. We've then got De Bruyne, who is on 7 goals in the league this season, Bruno Fernandes on 8, so Odegaard certainly kind of edges that metric. But then the assists is the big one. If we're looking at a creative midfielder, how many chances can they create? 4-2-3-1 is an option as well if you want to go for that. We're calling these creative midfielders. Odegaard has 7 assists. Bruno Fernandes has 8 assists. De Bruyne has double that on 16. However, he may have double the number of assists, but in terms of big chances created in the Premier League this season, Odegaard has 14, Kevin De Bruyne has 31, Bruno Fernandes has 32. So, Bruno Fernandes has been the most creative midfielder in the Premier League this season, kind of like from a factual point of view. I haven't got his expected assists on me at the moment, but again, they're the highest in the league. So Bruno Fernandes has been the most creative, Odegaard scored the most goals, De Bruyne's got the most assists. So who are you going for? Do we have to put De Bruyne in? He has been incredible. And I think what's also important when we're making a team of the season is exactly that. We're making a team of the season. We're not just picking who are the best players out of these, because it would become a very different team. Saliba, for example, isn't better than peak Thiago Silva. So if we were making the very best 11, it would be a different team. So we are making Premier League team of the season. Who's been the best this season? Who has been the most effective this season? For me, Kevin De Bruyne has been so good. And what's important is when he's been good. It's the context of it. The second half of the season, when Manchester City was struggling a little bit around January after the World Cup, they lost to Spurs. They weren't doing too great. The tactics changed. We saw that structural change with John Stones brought into the team. Manchester City completely changed. And since then, Kevin De Bruyne has been phenomenal. And without Kevin De Bruyne, you probably don't win the Premier League, because he's been absolutely incredible. And you could argue the same for Gundogan as well. However, Bruno Fernandes has performed well in a worse team. Odegaard has performed more for the whole season. So it's really difficult. We'll narrow it down to these 3. We're going to go Rodri will be in our midfield. And for now, we will go 4-4-2. Again, we can change it. But Odegaard, De Bruyne, or Bruno Fernandes. One word. Let me know who you would like out of those 3. We might change it towards the end. Like I said, we will revisit the team and you guys can make any changes that you want. Because I've seen someone saying about Rodri being a sitter, Caicedo box-to-box, De Bruyne as the creator. That would be a terrifyingly good midfield. That would be incredible. I would love to see that one day. But in terms of just who's been the best this season, let me know what you think. I'm seeing a couple of Bruno votes. I'm seeing Rodri, Odegaard and Bruno. Okay, so that's another Bruno vote, but also an Odegaard vote as well. Like I said, we might change formation and go to a 4-3-3 if you guys don't want Kane in the team. That is completely fine. There is our first De Bruyne vote. I'm just going to have a drink. You guys keep getting your votes in the chat down below. Welcome to the stream, anyone who's just joining. If you want to see our team so far, it's looking a little bit like this at the moment. But it's a work in progress. Rodri and De Bruyne. KDB. This is a really close one. I think Odegaard has just found himself out of the vote. I think. So it's between Bruno Fernandes and Kevin De Bruyne. If you are in the chat, and I know there's always some lurkers who don't like to get involved by saying too much, quickly just drop one word, because this is the closest vote of the video, I think. So just drop one word in chat. KDB or Bruno. Which one would you go for? Because I know there's some of you out there not talking, and that's completely fine. But for this one vote, we could do with the extra numbers. I'm seeing a Bruno. Get in and let me know your thoughts. There's no wrong opinions, so say whatever. Another KDB in there. AJ, assuming you are going to play Haaland as 9, might need 2 advanced 8 creator, so take De Bruyne and Bruno, mate. That's certainly an option. We could change to that. Again, I'm not too bothered about making a balanced team at the moment. We could always kind of change towards that. Someone's saying, can I do a poll? I'll be honest. I don't know how to. I would love to. If anyone knows how to, that would be great. But personally, I don't know how to. I can always maybe try and figure it out for next time, because I'm not actually sure how to do it. Hang on, I might have found it. I think I found it. 1 second, guys. Let me just type this up. I can't type. I can't spell to save my life. So who are 2 options? We've got De Bruyne and Fernandes. Like I said, we can come back to this towards the end and change the team. It doesn't matter. This is just kind of a chilled out way to spend a bit of time. Has that poll come through for you guys? You should now see a poll in chat. Let me just check it that it's there. You guys should now be seeing a poll, so you guys can vote. Fernandes straight away on 100% of votes. Congratulations, Bruno. Yeah, get in chat. Let me know. Who are you going to vote for? Is everyone seeing that poll, yeah? Let me know if you're seeing the poll as well. Because I've got a feeling some people might see it, some might not. So just let me know. For example, I can't find the poll on my own stream on my phone. Get your votes in. Poll is running. Perfect. Thank you very much. And also, great idea to even suggest it. I'll try and use that more in the future and any other positions we get stuck on. So thank you very much for your votes. Everyone keep voting. We will run it for just, 30 seconds more. This would be a really useful feature as well on other videos in the future when we are trying to figure out, different things on streams where we've got more people involved. So that could be a cool idea. So thank you very much. I'll give it 10 more seconds on the poll. Oh yeah, I completely understand that 4-4-2 wouldn't actually be used in the Premier League. I completely understand that, yeah. For example, you couldn't play a Bruno Fernandes and De Bruyne midfield in the league. You're completely right. Just for the purpose of kind of this video, though, do whatever. Don't worry too much about balance. It's not too important. But what we will then do once we've finished our team, kind of, this is the best on paper, we can then always change it. So we'll do a bit of both. We will cover everything. But Bruno Fernandes has won the poll. He's got 67% of votes. So let's just end that poll there. We're going to change our formation to a 4-4-2. Like I've said, we might change this and come back to it and go to more of a 4-3-3, depending on your guys' thoughts on Harry Kane. We will come back to that shortly, though. For this particular part, this is going to be our midfield. Can we have Bruno Fernandes, please? There we go. So that is our team of the season so far. So far, we've got 3 Manchester United players in there. I should have seen that coming. We've got a Liverpool player in there. We've got 1 Arsenal, 1 Newcastle, 1 Manchester City. I don't think they're unrealistic players to have in there either, though, because if not, I wouldn't have even put them in, unless the manager is Diego Simeone. Yep, it's a good point. Actually, I don't think he would play this midfield. But yeah, I know what you're saying. We will come back to the formation later. Let's go to the left wing. Should we go to the left wing? Or should we go to the right? Let's go to the left, because we've got more options there. Our 3 options, again, if you've got any other ideas, do let me know in the chat down below. But our 3 options are Martinelli of Arsenal. Had a really good season, scored some important goals for Arsenal. Again, he was probably better in the earlier half of the season, but he has been very good this year, really kicked on, taking his game to the next level and being very important. We've got Jack Grealish, who for me, from a tactical point of view, is one of the most important players in the Premier League. I think he is so important to the way which Manchester City play. He may not get a ton of goals and assists, but I still think he is vital. And then, of course, you guys are all saying it already, Marcus Rashford, who has to be in there. He has to be in the debate because his goals this season have been ridiculous. His form's dried up a little bit in the past 4 or 5 weeks, but I think, that patch after the World Cup, he really kicked on and done really well, scored some really important goals. Matoma is also a good shout, although, yeah, again, he's kind of come off track a little bit the last month or so, and he needs to work on his finishing to kind of improve his game, take it to the next level, improve his end product. I think this one might be pretty unanimous going towards Marcus Rashford. Yeah, Matoma's a brilliant shout as well. Matoma should definitely be up there, and I'll be honest, I just forgot to add him during the thing. He's a really good player, very good at dribbling, very good at carrying the ball forward. I think he needs to work on his end product. I think there's been a few goal chances this season where he should have scored, but that happens to the best players. It's, he's a new player to the league, and he is really good. So, yeah, Matoma should certainly be up there. So I will just quickly whack him in, because he does. You are right, he does deserve to be in there with a shout. So let's put him in. I don't think he's actually going to make anyone's final team, but we'll see. Let's go for a vote. Marcus Rashford, Martinelli, Grealish or Matoma. We won't put this one to a poll because I think I know what everyone is going to say. Yep, I'm seeing Rashford. Has to be Rashi. Rashford, Rashi. With the little love heart eyes emoji. That's how I would describe my feelings towards Rashford. Rashford wins. Rashford again. Yep. I believe literally everybody has said Rashford. No one thinks even slightly different. And it's fair enough. He's been absolutely incredible. He makes my team of the season. I don't know if he made everyone's team of the season kind of mainstream, which is a little bit odd. But yeah, he makes my team of the season for sure. I think he's been really very good again. Rashford, but not in that formation yet. And this is why we might change formation towards the end. Because, again, this team is not balanced at all. I'm very aware of that. So we probably will end up changing shape. But just for now, we'll stick with this. We could always move to more of a 4-3-3 and do something like this. My days, we would not have Rashford there, though. He would be higher up here. Again, if I could spell. Something like this. That has quite a nice feel to it, quite a nice balance. But let's go back to this for now. Rashford with 30 goals has to be in the team. Yeah. What is his actual Premier League tally as opposed to his all competitions? Because 30 is, of course, in all competitions, which is really impressive, nonetheless. But if we're just doing Premier League team this season, is it 17 goals in the Prem? That's still really impressive. For a player who's largely been on the wing. Of course, he's played some up front as well. Yeah, 17 goals in 35 matches and 5 assists. I'd like to see his assist numbers climb a little bit next season, but nonetheless very good. We're going to go to the right wing now, and then what we're going to do is figure out the shape, figure out whether we want an extra midfielder, or if we want to go for an extra striker. So we'll go to the right wing, and Bukayo Saka and Mohamed Salah for me are the two standouts. I can't really think of anyone else that comes close. Anthony's had a good first season for United. Who else really? The Chelsea wingers are a bit of a mess all over the place. None of them really play consistently. Can you think of any outside shouts? Not even saying they should necessarily be in the team, but can you think of some outside shouts for this position? Because I really can't think of many right wingers which have performed. Almiron is a good shout. I like Almiron as a shout. Again, he's dried up a little bit second half of the season, but first half of the season I thought he was very good. Elise is a good outside shout as well. And yeah, he'd probably be up there if we're making an outside of the top 6 team. Solly March is also a good shout. Riyad Mahrez, very good player. I like some of these outside shouts. Really like some of those. I like it a lot. If we were just to go for these two, who are we picking? Saka's got 2 votes. And Salah's got 2 votes as well. Saka or Salah? I think Saka had an explosive first 2/3 of the season, but dried up a bit towards the end of the season. I think he's another one of those players where, had they won the league, he'd probably get player of the season even. Yeah, I'll do a poll if it ends up close. I'll just see what everyone's saying. Salah, on the other hand, a bit of a quieter season at times in a poor Liverpool side, which hasn't done very well, but he's still scored a ridiculous number of goals. So, it's a bit of a difficult one. Kulusevski is an interesting shout. Do you think he's going to stay at Spurs this summer or not? Or do you think he's going to be off elsewhere? 19 Premier League goals and 12 assists for Salah. I can always rely on FP to come in with the numbers. He's always got the stats on all these players, and it's absolutely brilliant. He's here every stream, and he's an absolute legend. 19 goals and 12 assists for Salah in the Premier League this season. Granted, there's some penalties in there, but, you know, in a poor Liverpool side, that is super, super impressive. Should we take it to a poll? Because it does look close. Let me do this. I've got to find it again now. Cheers, AJ. No, thank you, honestly, because it is a massive help. Massive, massive help. I'm not sure how you do it. How do you get to those numbers that quick? Do you just know these off the top of your head? Salah would still be your pick even if Arsenal won the league. Yeah, that's fair enough. I think it's quite close. I don't think it's landslide either way. I'm trying to think who edges it for me. You're in the Batcave. That's a good way of getting numbers. I might have to get my own Batcave. Because if you can get stats that quick off the top of your head, I need a Batcave myself. Honestly, it really is helpful. I just say how many numbers has this player got, and you're there straight away. Every single stream. Really do appreciate it. You are an absolute legend. Also need to factor in Salah missed chances. That's very true as well. It's not just about the goals they have scored. Should they have scored more? That's an important point as well. Very true, very true. Saka's edging the vote at the moment. What I'll do, I'll give it 45 seconds or so just to see. But at the moment, Saka is winning the vote. So if you want Salah to be in your Premier League team of the season, if you think Salah has been one of the best players, make sure you get in that poll and vote now. Because if not, he isn't making it. Salah and Saka both missing crucial penalties. That's the irony of this team. Two good goal scorers this season, been so crucial for their team, but missed in big moments. The thing about big players, though, is that they probably will bounce back from that and be very good next season again. Pick Saka has been influential for Arsenal in their title push. Again, I think it is important to apply the context of the title push. Granted, Saka has played in a better team, but he has still... There were spells where he kind of put his team on his back a little bit and kind of carried them forward. So I completely understand that all. The poll is really close now. I'm going to set a stopwatch on my phone, and we're going to go for 20 seconds. We're going to go for 20 seconds, and I'm going to close the poll then. Whoever is top will win the poll. If you want Saka in your team of the season, vote right now. If you want Salah in your team of the season, vote right now. And if it's level, I'll flip a coin, or I'll decide. One of the two. 5 seconds. Let me know who would be in your team of the season. You got 5 seconds to tell me. Being influential in bottling as well, just a joke. That's also true. It is also something you have to take into consideration. Salah, what I will kind of clarify is both of these players have been absolutely brilliant. But, you know, like, only one of them makes the team. So just because only one of them's going to make it, it doesn't mean the other one was terrible. They've both been brilliant this season. Both been really good. I would really love to meet you, AJ. I am a coach myself for my university team. I really watch your content. Thank you very much for the kind words. Thank you very much. Let me know how your university team is doing. Really appreciate the support, though. Thank you very much. All right, we are going to close the vote there. Saka has won the vote. It was close. And again, Salah's been really good this season. We can't hide that. He has had a very good season. But Saka has won our vote. The vote don't lie. You know that the vote is final. We stand by the vote on this channel. The vote over everything else. Over logic, over opinion. The vote always wins. So this is our team so far. Now we have a big decision to make. In terms of the final kind of shape of our team. Do we want to go for a front two of Haaland and Kane? Or perhaps another striker if you can think of one? Or do we want to go for a 4-3-3? In which case some of our midfielders come back into contention. Let me know in the chat. If it's close, we'll go to a poll. But let me know in the chat. do you want to see the 4-4-2 or the 4-3-3? Of course, the 4-3-3 is more of a shape we actually see in football, in the Premier League. But for the fun of it, do you guys want to go 4-4-2 just to get attacking players on the pitch and make a fun team? Completely up to you. Your university team is doing good, been to 2 finals and 2 semi-finals, lost all. I don't know how to implement my tactical ideas to my team. Any ideas? Well, first of all, the fact that you got to 2 finals and 2 semi-finals suggests you're probably doing something very right anyway, so maybe keep doing what you're doing. It's always difficult to implement tactics. Of course, you don't know kind of the level of the team, but just keep doing what you're doing, basically. Gakpo, too smaller sample size. Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's being used in the right position either. Really good player, though. He is very, very good, but probably better in the first half of the season in the Eredivisie rather than a Premier League team in the season. But next season, keep an eye on him. You learn from the best, me and Football Made Simple. Football Made Simple is a brilliant channel. If you aren't subscribed, you probably all are, but check out the Football Made Simple channel. Really, really very good. Tifo Football as well, great channel. Tifo IRL, all great, great channels to learn from. I think we're going to go for the 4-3-3 though, because it feels like the most logical. It gives us a balanced team, which we do like to see. It does mean we lose out on a striker, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we need another midfielder in this case. So we've got 6 players going into the vote for one position. As our left centre midfield, or we can move it this way actually, let's go this way. We can have Odegaard here, we can have Guimaraes here, we can have Caicedo here, we can have Gundogan here, we can have McAllister here, and where's De Bruyne? Where have I put my De Bruyne? We can have De Bruyne as well. Or we could go 4-2-3-1 and have Harry Kane as a 10, that works as well. You're Nigerian? No, what time is it for you then, where you are at the moment in Nigeria? It's really cool for me to find out that I'm talking to people from all around the world. That's such a cool concept in my head. So do let me know where you're from. To everyone, kind of where you are in the world, what time it is there, because it is quite cool to know. For me, it's 1:53 p.m. at the moment. Who are we having as our final midfielder? We've got someone from Malaysia, someone from Jamaica, someone from Nigeria. See, that is so cool to me. That there's people tuning into this stream from literally all over the planet, and we can all connect over a game of football. That is super, super cool. Someone from Ghana as well. Keep letting me know, because it is really interesting for me to find this out. Another person from Nigeria. Someone's watching from Seattle, USA at 5:55 a.m. That is a dedicated person to be up at 5:55 a.m. Are you up that early for work, or are you up that late? Because if you're up that late, you should probably go to sleep. If you're up that early, I respect the dedication completely. Who are we putting, though, as our final midfielder? I'm going to narrow it down for you. I'm going to take McAllister out, I think. Canada, Zambia. You guys really are all over the world. That is sick. Up early for work. Nice. Well, hopefully I don't make you late for work. Anyway, though. Who are we going for as our final midfielder? We've got De Bruyne, Odegaard, or Guimaraes for me. Should we put this to a vote? Or do you guys just want to discuss it in the chat? We're good either way. Oh, someone's saying when they watch my preview, United don't lose. So they want a preview for the FA Cup final. There will be a preview. There will definitely be a preview for the FA Cup final. At the moment, I'm trying to figure it out because, I've got to make a video and title it, "This is how Manchester United can beat Manchester City." And that's really difficult to do because Manchester City are so good. They won the Premier League. There's a few of their players in this particular team. They're so, so good. And it is difficult to figure out. But once I've got it figured out, I'll be watching a lot of Manchester City footage. But once I have it figured out on how to beat them, best believe there will be a video. If I can't find any weaknesses, there'll still be something. Alright, that should be the poll there now. Final midfielder, De Bruyne, Odegaard, or Bruno Guimaraes. Have you seen the video by JTG Production for the final? Gives me goosebumps. I haven't, but if you recommend it, I will certainly watch it at some point. I love that sort of video, especially before a final, after Ten Hag's speech the other day. They are great. Let me look for it real quick on YouTube. I'll definitely make sure to watch it though. How good is Alexis McAllister? He's a really good player. I think he's probably likely to leave Brighton this summer. It looks like it's going to happen quite soon, and I think it will be Liverpool, and I will cover that at some point during the summer. But yeah, I think McAllister's really good. Do I think he's quite what United need? Perhaps not. But yeah, he's a really good player. My channel was introduced from Atlantis Football. Atlantis Football's a great guy, really nice guy. Harry, I recommend his channel. I've done a podcast with him last week on his Patreon, so make sure you check that out as well if you want to see or hear more of me. Is McAllister worth £70 million? It's really difficult to figure that out simply because who is worth £70 million? Because when you think about it, £70 million is so much money. In my head, no one is worth that. So it's really difficult. In terms of kind of in the modern market, I'd value him at around 50. I would go around 50 million. I think McAllister to Liverpool is going to happen. Now, I have no inside knowledge, by the way, just to say. It's just what I think. What software do I use? So the screen we got here is tacticalboard.com. And when we're looking in videos at kind of situations from games, it's Once Video Analyzer Pro. An incredible software. Incredible software. Check it out. We absolutely forgot Declan Rice. We absolutely did forget Declan Rice. How did we forget Declan Rice? If anyone wants to put a late Declan Rice push in this team, let me know, because he's one of my... How did I forget Declan Rice? This is why I need you guys in the chat. Point out when I'm wrong. Tell me when I'm wrong. We did forget Declan Rice, and we shouldn't have. Declan Rice is a great player, and yeah. Again, surely he leaves West Ham this summer. I forgot we had a poll. Who's winning the poll at the moment, guys? Oh, we're tied. De Bruyne and Odegaard are both on 46%. And then we've got Guimaraes on 8%. The second I see it change, we're going to end the poll. So De Bruyne and Odegaard are currently tied. All right, De Bruyne just went up to 50%. I'm ending the poll there. I'm ending the poll. De Bruyne is coming into our team in this sort of shape here. Like this. So we've now got midfield three of Rodri, De Bruyne, and Bruno Fernandes. That's going to create a lot of chances. There's also a bit of a solid base with Rodri there as well. And we'll kind of figure out tactically how it could work later on. Xhaka is also a good shout as well. Yeah. Again, if there's anyone I'm missing, let me know. If you've got any outside shouts or players which you think I've completely missed, do let me know. And if more people think Xhaka should be in the team over someone like Fernandes, get in the chat. Again, we're basing it on this season as well, remember? It's not just how good are they as a footballer, it's how good have they been this season. Can I move Bruno Fernandes over here? Oh god, what have I done? If you couldn't tell, I haven't used this software before. Let's put De Bruyne in the team for now, though. If someone wants Xhaka in there or Declan Rice, we can change this about. Can I now move these? Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Let's go for this then. This is our team thus far. We've still only got 2 Manchester City players so far, which is quite interesting. Again, as they won the league. Does that point to how good Pep Guardiola's tactics are, or about individuals which have performed exceptionally well for other clubs to even get close to City? 3 with Haaland. I'm sure Haaland will come in. I think we should use the formation of the season, a 3-box-3. We will see, kind of, as this gets into it, we can probably turn this into a 3-4-3. Someone saying about the Neymar transfer kind of broke football. Yeah, it did really. It completely kind of skewed what we view players' valuation at. We also forgot about Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva, you can add him in if you want. I think early part of the season is actually with Bernardo Silva, it's difficult to know where to put him. There was a game earlier in the season against Arsenal where he played at left back. Bernardo Silva played left back, but he's played as part of a midfield 3. He's also been on the right wing. He's an incredible player and walks into almost any team in the world. In terms of actually kind of for this vote, I don't know what position we would put him in, just because he's so versatile. It's difficult to pin down one position. But yeah, he's incredible. Should we move on to the striker? Let's move on to the striker. I I don't think we need too much of a debate on this one. Haaland or Harry Kane? Now, I will make the argument for Harry Kane here. I'm pretty sure everyone is going to go for Haaland here, but to kind of make Kane's argument, he has scored, 30 goals in the Premier League this season? He scored in 26 different games, which is a record. No player has ever scored in that many different games in the Premier League, and he has contributed to 42.9% of Spurs' goals this season. So 42.9% of Spurs' goals this season have been scored by Harry Kane, which is actually mental. It's crazy to think about it. He's outperformed his expected goals by 8.54, which, again, is the best in the league. It's remarkable. Normally, a player would be expected to score around 22 goals. He's scored 30 with the chances he's had. But yeah, he has taken penalties and things like that. Kane needs back surgery at the end of the season after carrying this abysmal Spurs team. Probably. He certainly needs a break. Would you like to see him at Manchester United? Let me know. How would I sum up Darwin Núñez's performance this season? Completely honest, about where I expected. People will say he's flopped. He hasn't flopped because I never thought he was going to do that well. People saw him do really well for Benfica last season, but he massively outperformed his expected goals, which normally it's a good thing to an extent. But when you outperform your expected goals by, say, 15, it suggests it's not sustainable, especially when you've only done it for one season. So I never thought he was going to come and score 30 goals for Liverpool this season. I think he'll do well moving forward, though. I think next season he'll settle in well, and he's done okay. So Darwin Núñez has done about what I would have expected. Would really pay to see you coach a proper football team. I would love to get back into coaching one day. I used to do coaching for a couple of youth football teams. Yeah, I would love to get back into coaching one day. It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of hours involved in football coaching. People don't really realise quite how much work goes in behind the scenes to a football coach. So yeah. Did Gakpo flop? Again, for me, Gakpo hasn't flopped because I didn't think he was going to do that well. If you look at the profile of both Darwin Núñez and Gakpo, neither of them fitted what Liverpool needed at the time. Having said that, I think they'll both do well next season. So in my opinion, some will say they have flopped, but in my opinion, they haven't. Because it's what I was expecting from them. For United to get Højlund and Gonzalo Ramos for 100 million. I think it would cost more than 100 million, but I certainly see the duo you're going for there. I think the talk for Gonzalo Ramos is around 80 million, and it's about 40 for Højlund. Of course, you can negotiate a lower price, but I think you would still be looking at over 100 million. We could negotiate a lower fee, exactly. Any chance I will collab with other smaller YouTuber? Absolutely. I am more than happy to collab with people as long as I've kind of like check their channel out and agree with the way they do things. Not necessarily agree with their opinions, because opinions are opinions. But if I kind of agree with the way that they run and the way that they work and their values, then I'm more than happy to collab with people, and I really want to do it, actually. But what we need a striker for this team, because at the moment we've got 12 players on the pitch, and, you know, whilst I think 12 players on the pitch could be quite a good strategy, probably not. The ref ain't going to let us do it. So, for our striker, let's take it straight up to a poll. We got Kane, Haaland. I think as much as Kane has been really good, it just has to be Haaland, because he's just broke so many records in his first season in the Premier League. He's won the Golden Boot. He fired City to the league, literally. I think it does have to be Haaland, but Kane does deserve a shout as well. Yeah, it does have to be Haaland. Realistically, it does. Kane is winning the poll at the moment, though. Do we need a shout-out for Garnacho on the left wing? I think perhaps if he had a higher volume of minutes. When he's performed, he's been right up there, especially his dribbling, as one of the best dribbling wingers in the league this season. I just don't think the sample size is quite big enough. But, you know, could we see it next season? Keep your eye out for it. Take Haaland out of that City team, I think Arsenal would have won the league. That's a brilliant way of looking at it. And again, that's the context of the teams they're playing in and what they achieved is important. like, we shouldn't just look at team achievement when assessing individuals, but it is still important. Haaland has been in a pressured environment this season. There was the demand to win the Premier League. They had to win the Premier League for this season. I know they have, but there was a big pressure on Haaland. Take Kane out of Spurs, Spurs get relegated. Also a really good point. Also a very, very good point. And apologies to any Spurs fans in here. You are getting clowned a little bit, but you've been terrible. So you kind of deserve it. Put Kane in that Arsenal team and they win the game with 5 games to spare. Again, probably. It looks like Haaland's going to win this vote, though. And as good as Kane has been, it's really difficult to argue against Haaland. It's really, really difficult. So Kane is going to be our final... no, he's not. Haaland is going to be our final player in the team. Slipped up my words there. Let's end the poll. Let's go to our final team. Here. Let's put Haaland in. And tell me, are you guys happy with this as our Premier League team of the season? We've got Alisson in goal. We've got Luke Shaw at left back. Lissandro Martinez and Saliba is our centre-back pairing. We've then got Kieran Trippier at right back. Rodri, Bruno Fernandes and Kevin De Bruyne as our midfield 3. Marcus Rashford, Erling Haaland and Bukayo Saka as our front 3. Do we want to put a manager in? I don't know if I can. Can I add a manager to this? Again, I haven't used this website before. Can we add a manager? Oh. I've got to add the image. We won't bother with a manager. We can kind of do it verbally though. Who would you guys go for as manager? Pep Guardiola right up there, obviously. Eddie Howe for what he's done with Newcastle. De Zerbi for the way in which he changed Brighton. There's a lot of different shouts. We're not actually going to put them in just because there isn't the room to do it. Ten Hag, yeah, Ten Hag should be in the debate as well. I don't know if he would quite be there for me, although he has overperformed. So probably De Zerbi or Howe. Pep, Ten Hag, Howe, Arteta, can't decide. Yeah, that's where my head would be at. So, what I want to do, before we finish, because I don't want to finish it because I'm actually quite enjoying this stream. Having a good time. I hope you guys are too. What would you do with this in terms of 2 things? This team, you can make one change. What is the change you're making? In terms of, ignore the formation. Tell me a player you're taking out and the player you're putting in for them. Just quickly put that in chat. And then also, what is the system we're going to use for this shape? In game, basically. In possession, how do you want this side set up? Good Evening makes it as well. Yeah, Emery's a really good shout for manager of the season. Villa were looking in trouble under Gerrard, and Emery has completely changed it, which shows that the players aren't always a problem, the manager isn't always a problem. There's always different factors going on. But sometimes you just need a manager which gets the best out of your players. Emery has done that. Ten Hag take the worst Man United team and most shallow midfield squad to this achievement is really true. I think at times we forget how bad Manchester United were this time 12 months ago. Okay, perfect. So you see that comment in chat which says Alisson out, Pope in. Everyone do that for one player in this team in that same format. Let me know who you're taking out, who you're putting in. What is your specific reasoning for Pope in? I said I'm happy to discuss it. And again, the shape we'll come on to shortly, so keep getting your thoughts on that as well. What is your kind of main thinking behind Pope instead of Alisson? You may not have been here at the start of the stream. One thing we were talking about was that Alisson this season, Alisson and Pope have the same amount of clean sheets. However, Alisson has saved 10 XG more than he would be expected to, post-shot XG that is, whereas Pope has only saved 0.3, so still above average, but nothing exceptional. And Alisson is also top for actions outside of the penalty area as well. But if you think Pope, there's certainly people that would agree. So there's nothing wrong. You're not wrong as such. There's just an argument to be had for both sides. Absolutely. A couple of people would like De Bruyne out for Odegaard. That's fair enough. Rodri out for Guimaraes. Reason, he's been immense for Newcastle United, to be fair. I agree. And I don't know if you were here at the time, but I said earlier, the second you take Give him a shout of Newcastle, they drop off massively. He's so important. I still can't believe he joined Newcastle. He was such a good player 18 months ago. Arsenal should have been there. Manchester United should have been there. Everyone should have been there. Sorry if it is outside subject matter. Thoughts on Van der Sar leaving Ajax, and would you take him as a sporting director or CEO for United? Yes, please. I think it's interesting that he's leaving. I believe it's due to kind of dissatisfaction with results at the club this season, which is understandable. But with Ajax, you've got to consider they lost their manager, they lost one of their best centre-backs. Their other centre-back in Jurriën Timber was unsettled all of last season. They lost their right-back in Mazraoui. They lost Gravenberch, one of their most important midfielders. They lost Anthony to the attack. They lost Haller as well. So I'm not surprised Van der Sar's leaving if he's getting a lot of stick, but he shouldn't be getting a lot of stick because, again, the job at Ajax was always going to be difficult. They obviously lost their manager as well. So, yeah. De Bruyne out for Odegaard because it brings balance when attacking the half space. That's true. Odegaard would be a little bit deeper than what De Bruyne plays, so it's a good point. Tactics would be play out from the back with Trippier move up front on final third, Shaw tucked in midfield, De Bruyne and Bruno in half space from a 2-2-6. It could also become a 3-1-6 as well. Someone said that Van der Sar didn't do a good job at bringing in a technical director after Ten Hag left. I'm not educated enough on that subject at the moment and kind of the whole situation at Ajax to really give my views. My views on it kind of as an overall is they lost a lot and that was always going to be difficult to replace, but that's why it's important to have good structures. So if you know more about it and kind of the whole Overmars situation and things like that, if you know more about that and you think they should have done a better job there, then fair enough. I don't really know enough. Trying to think how we could work this team from a tactical point of view. Do you like the idea of Saka in a half space? Is Rashford, is he good enough as an isolation winger on the left-hand side or a wide winger to hold the width? What do we think? Tactics would be a 3-2-5 or a 2-3-5 or a 3-1-6 would be ideal, but don't think Rodri can defend transitions on his own. That's very true. We could maybe go for... So this is one shape we could do. Shaw would be happy tucking into this sort of position. And we could go for something like this. Trippier's tucking in slightly from the right-hand side. But does Rashford want to play that position out wide? I'm not too sure. I'm not sure if that's the position he wants to play out wide. So maybe do you change it slightly? Do you push Shaw forward? Rashford inside? Maybe go to something more like this. 3-1-6. Something like that could work as well. Obviously, this is never going to be a balanced team because we haven't necessarily entirely tried to pick a balanced team. In this situation, you bring Ben White in for Trippier, for example. This is what we believe is the best 11 players in the Premier League, plus can we fit them into a system? So it's never going to be perfect. Who do I think will win the Champions League? I'm not a betting man, but my money would be on Manchester City. However, I think Inter are being underrated going into that game. Inter will not roll over. Inter are a far bigger test than what people think. Rashford is an isolation winger, same as Saka, Fernandes and De Bruyne in the half space. So you kind of want something a bit more like this perhaps. Rashford playing a bit wider. Bruno Fernandes and De Bruyne trying to get in these channels in these half spaces. Interchanging with their wingers. That could work very nicely. Trippier can't play that role. What makes you say that such? I'm not saying you're wrong, just what makes you think that? My thinking is interchange. If Trippier push up, then Rashford hold the width, vice versa. So as one fullback goes, that winger comes in, but the other one stays wide. And then the other way around, when Shaw pushes forward, Rashford comes in, but Saka would stay wide. Of course, that works as well. Someone saying they'd instruct Rashford to cut inside. Yep, fair enough. The other option also is to kind of maybe go a bit like this. Ask Trippier to play a deeper role. Ask Shaw to play inside. Can Shaw do that to the level we want? Not sure. Can Trippier do this role to the level we want? I'm not sure. Again, perhaps you bring in Ben White for this role. But this would allow you to create the box in midfield. That would work very nicely. Rashford, not an amazing isolation winger. He is an inside forward, not inverted winger. I agree. I think if I was to pick Rashford's position, it's an inside forward. Which is actually perhaps, a conversation for another day. Maybe Rashford might have a slight problem next season in terms of his role at Manchester United. But we will discuss that for another day. What team do I support and why? I support Manchester United. I just always have done. I couldn't tell you why because I made the decision at such a young age. I couldn't really tell you the reason. I've supported them since I can remember. Do you think the only reason De Bruyne is better than Bruno is because he has played in a Pep system for over 8 years? That's a really good point. I think it's something we need to talk about more. When we rate a player, the environment is really important. It's not just kind of who they're playing for. The players they've got around them, the systems they put in, the coaching they receive whilst they're there, things like that. I think De Bruyne is... do I even think De Bruyne is better than Bruno Fernandes? I don't know who I think is better. I think they're actually really very close. De Bruyne probably edges it, but they are very, very close. But yeah, of course, playing under Pep Guardiola for, like you said, 8 years now, if it is the case, it's a long time to be working with one of the best managers of all time, certainly top 3. Do I think Bruno Fernandes in a Ten Hag system for 3 years would be better than De Bruyne? Potentially. I mean, I also don't massively like using the term that this player is better than this player because, again, they're in different systems, different environments, they have different jobs, different roles, so they're required to do different things. So it's difficult to really compare. AJ, curious question. Do you see Rashford going forward will move towards centre forward role due to pace? Expect to... what is it, slowing down with age? It's possible, especially also if Manchester United can't spend big on a striker, we could see Rashford move there a lot earlier than we think. I also, like I said, I don't particularly like him properly out wide as a winger. He can, of course, rotate out here, but I prefer him a bit closer to goal, kind of in an inside forward position, somewhere between the two. Started supporting United back in 1998 after watching a free kick from Beckham. That's a pretty good reason to start supporting him. I think a lot of people talk about you have to support your local team and things like that. I think you should support a team which you support from a young age and entertains you. Football's all about entertainment at the end of the day. What do I think of the Milner to Brighton transfer? Good sign him. He'll bring a lot of experience to that team. Of course, they're now in Europe as well, aren't they, Brighton, next season? So, yep. Trippier can't play as an outside centre-back. He is better in the final third, and his output going forward is fantastic. That is really true. I think he is underrated defensively. I think his time at Atletico Madrid has seen him improve. But, yeah, I do understand what you're saying. Of course, it's difficult to make a balanced team because we can't just pick and choose who we want. But yeah, I do see what you're saying. Someone else saying it's a good transfer for Milner to Brighton. I think most of the signings Brighton do are pretty good. 9 times out of 10, if Brighton are making the signing, it's probably smart, realistically. That's the way to look at it. Anyone else got anything to say on our team here or anything else? The channel? Just anything really? What would I think is the ideal budget for Ten Hag to compete immediately with Pep? It depends what you mean in terms of budget. Are we talking net spend, for example? I think, like, ideally, the window this summer is Kim Min-jae, Diogo Costa, 2 midfielders plus a striker of an elite level. So however much that would cost. Would I prefer Højlund or Ramos? I've seen more of Gonzalo Ramos than I have Højlund. So for now, I would say Ramos, but I need to watch Højlund more before really kind of coming to a final verdict. Underrated players of the season. That's a good topic. Let me know just your one underrated player of the season, but also your player of the season in general. Great stream, AJ. Thank you very much for watching. I will stay live for a bit longer. If you guys have stuff to talk about, I'm happy to sit here and discuss it. Even if we go back to this picture for now. If you want to stay about and keep chatting, I'm more than happy to do that. If not, enjoy the rest of your day, mate. Who would I buy as a backup to Casemiro? I have a video recorded on Declan Rice coming up. And of course, he wouldn't be back up to Casemiro. More the idea is that he would start alongside him and then eventually kind of replace him as the holder. We could, stumbling over my words here, that's something we could see. Lavia would also be a really good option. Caicedo, but again, he's a player who would initially play alongside Casemiro and then move deeper in the long run. Who would I rather have, Osimhen or Gonzalo Ramos? Really good question. Who do I think the better striker is? I think it's Osimhen. I think that the outlet he provides for a transitioning team in particular is simply phenomenal. I think he's one of the most dangerous strikers in the world, in the sense that you can put a ball into almost any area and he will make sure that he turns it into a problem. At the same time, Ramos is maybe a bit closer to what Ten Hag maybe typically likes in a profile, in the way that he can drop deeper. So I genuinely don't know who I would rather. Benfica are so stubborn. That's obviously a problem. If we look at the fee that Darwin Núñez went for last summer, Ramos is going to be something close. Would you please make an analysis video on Thuram? Which Thuram is that you would like the video on? Because there is a couple about. Would I take Bissouma from Spurs? I think realistically that transfer wouldn't happen, but I do really like Bissouma, and I'm genuinely really disappointed that he hasn't had more opportunities this summer. Yeah, which Thuram are you guys talking about? Because there is Marcus Thuram, but there is also Thuram who plays for Nice, who is a midfielder, has been linked with Manchester United a couple of times, and is also heavily linked with Liverpool. Really good player. Who would I take from the relegated teams? I'm trying to think. Lavia would be the one for me. Yeah, I think Lavia would be the one from Southampton for me. I'm trying to think of the others. James Maddison is obviously right up there. Tielemans is a very good player as well, although this year he's been really disappointing. Yeah, let me know which Thuram you guys are talking about, because if enough people want a video on it, I will cover it. Especially if I see more links to United, that is something we could cover. Quickly, before we finish stream, I'm going to stream a bit longer. But before we finish, for you guys as Manchester United fans, the main ones in here, what are your thoughts on this game at the weekend? Manchester United versus Manchester City. Oh yeah, if we're talking about Thuram as in a midfielder at Nice, then I probably will cover that soon. I'm not sure when it will be, but I will cover it. And you might also see him mentioned briefly in a Liverpool video, which I'll do soon, maybe, so keep an eye out for that as well. Would I take James Maddison as Bruno Fernandes backup? I certainly would. I think he'd be really good at that. The question is, would he be happy to be backup? That's more the bigger question. Someone saying, I back United to come out on top, and then literally the next one is not having high hopes. Yeah, I think we're both in a similar position. What do I think of Jonathan David? Good striker, really good striker. Do I think he is an elite level Champions League winning striker? Probably not. I think he's in that bracket slightly below. The FA Cup, hope and pray United win. The heart says United wins, but the mind says City will win. I think that's probably where Manchester United fans are at. In terms of, you know, if we try and go to something tactical, and this is going to be really brief because I want to save it for a separate video. If we try and put a few things on screen here, what would you guys be going for starting 11-wise? Because I won't actually be streaming my I won't be streaming my preview. That will just be a video. So before we finish today, what would be your starting 11 for Manchester United against Manchester City in the final? And it's going to take a bit of time to move all the players out of the way because we've got teams from all sorts of different clubs in here. Shaw can stay, Rashford can stay, Bruno Fernandes can stay, Casemiro can stay. Let's turn this to Fred, for example. What would your starting 11s be? You'll pick your heart over your head just this once. I could see it happening. I don't think Manchester United have no chance. I think they're certainly in this game. And they have a decent chance of winning this for sure. I do believe that. And I wouldn't lie to you guys and say that if I didn't think that was the case. I will find the Manchester City weakness. There's got to be a weakness in this City team somewhere. I know they look frighteningly perfect. I will find a weakness for you guys. I will tell you how you can hurt the City team in the next couple of days. So if you do want that, stay tuned to the channel, subscribe and everything like that. I'm trying to think of different players which could maybe start for United, which we can debate about a little bit. Again, you see my beautiful spelling. Struggling as always with that. Of course, one of the decisions that United need to make is Antony going to be fit on the right-hand side, or does it need to be Sancho? It looks like no Martial, so does that mean Rashford up top? Or does that mean Weghorst up top? Or does it mean Bruno Fernandes out wide? Does it mean Garnacho starts? No idea. Who would you go for at right back? Are we going for Wan-Bissaka or Dalot? I think we're probably more likely to see Wan-Bissaka. He got a break the other night, didn't he? So I think we might see Wan-Bissaka on this side here. But let me know some thoughts, early thoughts on your starting 11. Do we know if Anthony's fit? I know Ten Hag said he should be, but at the same time he was saying that, we saw Anthony walking about on crutches, so it's not kind of mixed messages. So I am really scared about the game. I think if we stop City building up, we can hurt them. That's what we need to figure out. Where can you figure out their weaknesses? If we don't concede in the first half, because City are very good in the first half of games, City are very good. But what they do have is this tendency at times in the biggest games, in the first 20 minutes or so, they come out a little bit slow and not too expansive. Now I've said that, there's a chance they absolutely blow United away in the first 20 minutes. But City sometimes start a little bit cautiously on the ball. That might be the time where you can really go at them. So keep an eye on the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game, because sometimes City are slow. We saw it in the first leg against Real Madrid in a Champions League semi-final. They can start a little slow. Malacia on Mahrez is an interesting shout as well. We haven't seen it so much recently, but during the opening stages of the season, we saw a few games. We saw it against Liverpool as well, against Salah. A couple of games where Malacia came in because of his front-footedness in a way that he defends. So Malacia is a shout at left back. Martial's injured. Yep. De Gea, Varane, Shaw, Malacia, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Casemiro, Fred, Bruno, Sancho, Rashford, Garnacho. So you're going for Shaw and Varane at centre-back. That is interesting. Someone else's as well. Shaw and Varane at centre-back. Keep Haaland quiet and he won't score. Keep Fred breathing on Kevin De Bruyne and he'll stay quiet as well. Malacia is aggressive enough to cover Mahrez. Sorry, guys, I don't mean to have this glazed look. I'm just reading through chat. Also, guys, what you do now have the ability to do if you want to is there are super chats as well. So if you kind of want to like donate money towards a new microphone, because I know it ain't very good, or if you guys want to make sure your message gets seen, super chats guaranteed that I see them. But if you want to just stick to normal chats, that's completely fine. Just 1 second. My dog is going absolutely nuts here. I'm just going to mute for 5 seconds. I'm back. Okay, he stopped and go to sleep now. Nice. Depends on which Fred is going to turn up. That is very, very true. Dalot at left back. So when Bernardo cuts in, Dalot is on his wrong foot. I quite like the idea of that. That's quite smart. We need Fred to stick on De Bruyne, follow him to the bathroom and the parking lot. Do a Herrera on Hazard sort of job. City are going to overload Casemiro with De Bruyne and Haaland dropping like they did to Arsenal. That's where I'm worried. That is where I'm worried. It's one thing stopping City in their kind of structured possession. Stopping City on the counter-attack is something entirely different because they're so good at it. I know a City weakness. When John Stones is going into the midfield, the space between them and the centre-backs is huge. So if we can nick the ball off them, we exploit that space. I agree. That space, as the fullbacks kind of open up a little bit, Stones is going to step. If you can win the ball in that area, which is easier said than done, if you can win the ball in that area, Ruben Dias briefly does become a little bit exposed. City have no weaknesses. They are the very definition of perfection. Where you can hurt them. Whether the team can execute it is completely different, but I will find a weakness in that team. Someone else has gone for De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Shaw, Dalot, Casemiro, McTominay, Fred in the 10, Bruno Fernandes on the left wing, Rashford up front, and then Sancho on the right wing. So that's quite a different team to what several people have gone for. Because there's no Varane in that team, and there is Scott McTominay, which is quite interesting. No one else has gone for McTominay, right? We need to play the game, not the occasion. Pep will overthink it. Very possible. Slight history for doing that. Pep Guardiola in some of the big finals. Is Rafael Varane going to keep his record of... I believe he's won every final he's ever started in, hasn't he? McTominay to track the half-space run. I see the idea behind it. We need Fred to do what Ji-Sung Park did to Pirlo. Yeah, that's another very similar comparison we can make as well. Yep. Except the World Cup final. You are correct. You are correct. So is it every club final. He started Varane as one, I believe, then. What are our thoughts on Bruno Fernandes on the left wing? Someone says it there. The last time he played there, we lost 7-0. Now, importantly, we didn't lose 7-0 because of Bruno Fernandes. Let's move a few players here. Just ignore the 11. What do you think specifically on Bruno Fernandes on either the left wing or the right wing? I don't mind which side he starts. What are your thoughts? He works really hard. He still creates chances. He doesn't have the same pace on the counter-attack as what wingers do. My problem with it is that he doesn't get on the ball enough on the wing. Bruno Fernandes is by far Manchester United's most creative player. We've seen it in the stats today. You know, he made our team of the season. He's United's most creative player. When he gets out wide, he doesn't get the ball quite as much. But what he does do when you put him wide is it allows you to press in a different way, especially without Antony. When we are building up, Shaw gives us a progressive passing option. That's something else which will be really important for United. We will, of course, in our preview, focus on kind of defending and stopping City because they're so good. But you also need to play well on the ball as well. It's not just about a defensive masterclass. You have to be secure in possession. Keep the ball when you get it, because City don't let you have it for long. Garnacho isn't ready to start in an FA Cup final yet, and that takes away our punch from the bench. That's also true. I think Garnacho, I could see him starting, but also he does have such a good impact off the bench. Are you better off leaving him on the bench for the first hour and then letting him come on, like he did in the last derby where he done very well and sets up the goal? If Eriksen will start, then he will provide creative long balls to Rashford and Bruno to play on right wing. Very, very true. My concern with Eriksen starting is more the defensive side of the game. He physically gets overrun a bit. But if you maybe change it, if you go, like you say there, Bruno Fernandes right wing, and you put maybe Fred alongside Eriksen, maybe that makes up for a little bit. Maybe that does make up for a little bit. So let me know if that is something you're interested in. We have just had our first ever super chat on the channel. Thank you so much. Please let me know how I pronounce your name, because I am awful with name pronunciations. Is it Ali? How do you pronounce your surname? Is it Jaba? Jaba? He said, awesome work, AJ. Always loved your analysis. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that donation. I really, really do appreciate it. It's a massive thank you. Let me know how to pronounce your name so I get it right in the future. But thank you so much for that donation. I really, really, really do appreciate it. It means a lot. The fact that, you know, you can have this content for free if you want it, but you choose to give a little tip, I really do appreciate it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Back to the tactics. If you take Eriksen out, there is no ball retention in that team. That's the other point, and that's why it's so difficult to be a manager. And this is why the task is so difficult for Ten Hag. Because, did I get your pronunciation right? Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you for that donation again. I really do appreciate it. The difficult thing about being a manager against Manchester City is you need the right defensive profiles to make sure City don't overload certain positions and cause you certain problems. But you also need to be good enough on the ball that when you do get the ball, you can hurt City. So it's difficult with someone like Eriksen. Defensively, you don't get as much, but on the ball, you get a bit more. Really, very difficult. Really difficult to figure out the balance. That's why the top managers are played the top bucks. Grealish against Aaron Wan-Bissaka 1v1 could be another way to exploit them. When we win the ball off them, we can attack on the right wing where Grealish isn't the most defensively secure. I agree with the point, and I think Wan-Bissaka is a really good ball carrier, but I also think Grealish has massively improved from a defensive point of view. However, perhaps physically, maybe just purely from a physical point of view, he may not have the strength to deal with Wan-Bissaka stepping forward with the ball. However, Grealish has improved massively defensively. Grealish is he's improved a lot in that area. He's always had the work rate. Recently, he's improved his technique. But yeah, maybe Wan-Bissaka's strength and athleticism could aid him. We are not expecting to have much of the ball. That's very true. Bruno can tuck in inside right forward and cover a bit in midfield and provide support to Eriksen. Something I will come on to. We have another super chat. Again, wow. Thank you so much. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name once again. You will see on all my videos, I'm awful with player pronunciations. I'm going to go, is it Edwick? Edwick44 with the £10 donation. Not much, but you can put towards a new mic. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. The fact that you would take £10 out of your personal savings to send to me, I am so grateful for that. It will definitely go towards a new mic. It absolutely will. If you guys actually could help at some point with maybe what sort of mic I should go for, that would be appreciated. But thank you so much for the £10. Apologies again if I've kind of got your pronunciation of your name wrong, but thank you, Edwick44. I really do appreciate you. Someone saying they think Eriksen is a risk. Understandable. Attacking them on right wing can be another way to exploit them, and I back Sancho in a 1v1 against Akanji or Aki. I would back our wingers in a 1 versus 1 against Akanji. I think Aki is very good defensively. I think Aki 1 versus 1 has actually been really valuable for City lately, so we would maybe see kind of which one would be the better choice there. My dog is over here again, just doing whatever he's doing. Minding his own business over there, making plenty of noise for you guys. Last season, Aaron Wan-Bissaka got absolutely destroyed on the right. Man City kept giving the ball to Grealish to take on Wan-Bissaka. We lost 4-1. I think the other problem for Wan-Bissaka in a Wan-Bissaka versus Grealish battle is the way in which Grealish dribbles. What we often see is the wingers which Wan-Bissaka's done well against, for example Matoma, are quite direct. Matoma gets the ball and drives at Wan-Bissaka. That suits Wan-Bissaka. Grealish has a bit more of a tendency to carry it forward, turn round and then go backwards. Wan-Bissaka likes to delay defending. He likes to put a slide tackle and things in quite late, so that could be a problem against Grealish, who is kind of happy to carry it forward, then go backwards. Again, it's a really interesting matchup. We were terrible last season, we can't use that to judge. Absolutely, that is also very true, but we certainly can kind of take evidence and not fully judge it on that, because again, the context is important, but we can use it as an idea still a little bit. Sancho can't even beat a traffic cone 1 versus 1, let alone Aki or Akanji. I think he would beat a traffic cone. Would he beat Aki? I'm not sure. Is Sabitzer fit? No, I believe he's out for the season. And I don't think he's going to be renewing his contract, if I'm correct. So we might have seen him for the last time at Manchester United. We can surprise City by having possession like we did at the Emirates this season. It's possible. The problem is that City are so good defensively that it's difficult to get the ball off them. They've improved massively on the ball this season. Their structure's really good. Haaland offers them that kind of spearhead which they've needed. But defensively, they are so good at pressing as well. It's really difficult to take the ball off them. Really want to do a super chat, but having network issues. No worry, if you can't, do not worry about it at all. I do not expect people to. If you want to, of course, you're more than welcome to, but don't feel bad if you can't. But thank you very much for even thinking about it. I really do appreciate it. Has anyone else got anything to say on this? Can Sancho invert during defensive phases to stop a central overload? Should we quickly put some City players on the screen? Ignore the numbers, right? Let's just look at a City shape. Let's go City in their kind of... They like to build in this 3-box shape. So let's just say the back 3. Again, just ignore the numbers and the players and things like that. We're just going to focus on the shape. Because I do need some help from you guys. Because it's going to be really difficult to preview this game. So let's look at City. This is how they like to build possession. The problem which you have against City is they have a back 3, which means that if you play with a front 2, they overload it. So that's a problem. But if you go narrow with your front 3 and try to match them, they then have a box midfield up against your midfield 3, which of course completely overloads them. And, you know, that's a big problem. City have a lot of technical quality. They move the ball forward well. So maybe what you do is bring someone in more central to kind of match it up and go like this. The other problem you then have is that in Grealish and either Bernardo Silva or Riyad Mahrez on this side, they're unbelievable at carrying the ball forward. It's so difficult to break them down to stop them, because they're so good. Everything you try and do to kind of counteract them or negate certain strengths of theirs, they seem to have this other change which matches it. So it's going to be really difficult. Man City depth is crazy. Yeah, it really is. In terms of players you've mentioned there, Calvin Phillips, Phil Foden, you've got, say if Bernardo Silva starts, you've got Riyad Mahrez on the bench, you've got Alvarez, who's really very good as well. The depth of that squad is ludicrous. I think Varane, Lindelof can do a job on Haaland, and hopefully Fred will play like he did in City at home and can do a job on De Bruyne. So you would go for the Varane, Lindelof centre-back pairing. I quite like the sound of it. I think it's what I would go for. Man marking in the build-up. Mid-block press and play on the transition is the way to go. I need to focus a bit more over the next couple of days on Manchester City's goal kicks. In terms of literally the shape that they use. Do you guys know if they use a back four from the goal kick, or do they go for a 3 in that situation? Because that obviously affects things as well. Because if you're trying to man mark, a 4 or a 3 are two very different shapes to try and man mark. So again, let me know. I've got my work cut out. I will be up late tonight. I've got it written in the schedule here to start watching Manchester City at 10 PM tonight, and I will stop at 1:30 in the morning with. I'm going to go through probably 4 or 5 games. I'll watch them all on super high speeds, and yeah, I'm going to watch Manchester City, try and figure out the weaknesses. There do have to be weaknesses there somewhere. Really dangerous to press high. That is the problem. If you press City and you get it wrong, Haaland and De Bruyne transition and destroy you. Back 4 with Edison as the 4th man. So do they split into the 3 quite early then, like this? And then you've got... Do they do something like this? They do. I remember now. I do remember. With this being the goalkeeper. They do something like that, yeah. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was a risk on back post. Area ball, although he did improve a lot. He certainly improved in that department. I think his back post defending has been much better this season. And we've seen less goals conceded in that area. But yeah, he certainly still isn't top level. City press is another way we can exploit them. If they press in a 4-4-2, Haaland and De Bruyne aren't the most intense. So our centre-backs would have time on the ball. And then Bruno between the lines. I think Haaland and De Bruyne are probably more intense than what you think. Although, maybe not the most intense pressers in the world. But they use their shadow press very well. So they're kind of pressing, but also cut the passing lanes behind them. With United having a 3v2 in midfield, with Fernandes between the lines and Rashford running in behind. So you're saying in a situation where City are in a 4-4-2, that is something you could try and exploit, certainly. And it's something I will look at. Man United would have to play mid-block and defence a yo-yo way, move up and down, depends on ball. I think mid-block is probably the sort of suggestion that I will go for. We have to block the central passes of centre-backs towards their midfielders so they can't create and give ball to them easily, and offer them with easy passes towards their fullbacks. So this is the other problem which I was saying about earlier. If City build with a back 3 like this, and then a box in midfield, one solution to try and kind of slow them down is to block the passes into the middle. So how do you do that? You maybe go man for man in midfield like this. So we've got Fred on De Bruyne here, Casemiro on Gundogan. This would be, let's say, a winger. Tucks in maybe on someone like John Stones in this area. Someone else comes inside. The problem that you have when you do this is that City are so good at opening up this passing lane. And both wingers are not only, they are good 1-versus-1 dribblers, but they are also... really good at carrying the ball forward and progressing up the pitch. And they can easily buy City 10 yards. So that is risky as well. And again, it's the problem. There's so many different risks. Did you hear my dog there? He's off on a run. Does what he wants, that guy. Mate, think about Haaland and De Bruyne. Press when you have the ball. You might piss on your pants. True. That's why Eriksen is important. What was that in response to, sorry? Was that to playing forward quick? Was that looking for chances? I think when we are attacking shape, we should go for a Brighton 2-4-2-2 shape. Brighton City is certainly a game which I will be watching back later. They done very well against Manchester City, so I will certainly be watching that. Can you please take Weghorst out because he isn't playing? So, who would you go for instead then? Would you go something like that? Is that what you would go for? Don't think Walker starts, so Rashford pace is essential. Is Kyle Walker fit? Because I think if he is fit, Pep Guardiola will start him personally. Simply for the Rashford threat. This is interesting though to see kind of the different tactical solutions you guys are coming up with. Because obviously on the channel, all the time you just get my thoughts. And how I would approach things. So it is really interesting to see how you guys would solve different problems. Again, by the way, I just want to say a massive thank you to the 2 people who donated with Super Chats. Edwick44 with the £10, thank you so much. And also Ali with the $5. Thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate that. We probably won't have the ball too much, so they will probably have about 65% possession to United's 35, and Eriksen defensively not that good. Gundogan and De Bruyne will outrun him easily. I agree. And I think what would worry me personally is, let's say Eriksen is the left-sided central midfielder here against Kevin De Bruyne. When De Bruyne makes the run into this channel, can Eriksen track him? We saw Luka Modric really, really struggle with it in the Champions League semi-final. Second leg, De Bruyne destroyed him. From a physical point of view, he was too strong. I would worry about the same for Eriksen. Bruno on either wing, and Rashford can play as a number 9 or right wing, so he can beat one-on-one and use his pace against Aki or Akanji. That's also an option, very true. The Etihad game was the best example, true. If we use Brighton 2-4-2-2 shape, we could have 6 players when City go on a transition, and then we overload their backline in possession. Again, it's a shape we could use, and like you said, it gives you those extra defensive numbers at the back. Like I've said already, Brighton did do very well against City, so I will be watching that game back to kind of get an idea. Last straw, probably Ollie ball for 90 minutes. I don't think we'll see something too far off the sort of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer approach at times. Cup finals are always a little bit cagey anyway, typically. This is a big game. This is a big game. We would try Bruno as a false 9. City will mop up long balls to Rashford. Very interesting idea, actually. And put Rashford and Sancho on the wings. Bruno Fernandes kind of operating in here, maybe getting in between Stones and Rodri. That could be an idea, although physically would that maybe be a problem? That's the other thing you've got to worry about with City. Let's say you've got Rashford up front and you want to go a bit longer, or even if you've got Weghorst and you want to go long. You've got a triangle here of John Stones, Rodri and Ruben Dias. It's ridiculous. They're so good. They have developed in a different way this season. I also noticed City don't like to defend for long periods. It's really true. And when you do have the ball against City, there are weaknesses kind of in their sustained defence. The problem is, can you get into that position? Once you can, there are weaknesses there. But it's a big job getting there. If it goes to penalty, I think we lose. Okay, quickly before we finish, penalty shootout, who do you think wins? Just one word, United, City. Who do you think would win if it was to go to penalties? Realistically, United are going to have to be pretty perfect. Because City will be close to it. So United really do have to be on it. We've got 3 people saying City win on penalties, 2 people saying United. What's your reasoning for that? Is it because someone like De Gea in goal, not a great penalty saver? City's record on penalties isn't the best. We have seen Mahrez miss important penalties, we've seen Gundogan miss penalties, and we've even seen Haaland miss penalties this season. They aren't the best penalty takers in the world. They have missed some. But of course you're still, entitled to say otherwise, absolutely. But just keep in mind, they aren't perfect at penalties. In penalty things, anything can happen, and that is ultimately the case. We can sit here and predict it, but you're flipping a coin, seeing what side it lands. If Mahrez takes a penalty, we are good. His penalties haven't been great, although I'm not going to say anything in case I jinx it. We have some great penalty takers, we do, in the likes of Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes. There's a few players in this squad which I would trust on penalties. Players like Weghorst as well, Casemiro, I would trust those players. It really is mixed, and I think that probably sums up penalties the best. Finally, before we finish, are we fully happy with our Premier League team of the season? Personally, I am. I really like it. I really like the balance of the side. And also, what's the other thing I was going to say? What is your score prediction for the FA Cup final? Like I said, I will be covering it during the week. What day is it today? Is today Wednesday? Let me just check the schedule when I'm uploading. So tomorrow I'm uploading a video on Declan Rice. And then on Friday, we will be previewing Manchester City. That won't be a live stream, unfortunately. It will just be a straight up video. However, what we will do is we will do a reaction live stream to the FA Cup final if Manchester United win. Would you guys want it still if we lose? Maybe you can let me know. I'll do a poll at some point on the channel. There's mixed. Everyone's going quite close with the scorelines though. We've got another United 2-1 win. We've got mine says 2-0 City, Heart says 2-1 United, 2-0 City, 2-1 United, 2-1 United, 2-0 United, 1-0 smash and grab. So everyone's going for quite close scorelines. And like I said, I do think we will see cagey spells of the game. 3-1 City. So everyone's looking for a close game, and I think we will see that. But I think for today, in terms of this live stream, we do need to be wrapping up. I've been going for an hour and 52 minutes now, and the throat is getting a little bit dry. The voice is starting to go just a little bit. So I think we are going to leave the stream there for today. I'm really happy with what we've discussed kind of here in this tactical segment, looking at City and United. And like I said, I'll find a weakness in this City team. Don't worry, I'm very confident that I will, because I have an idea already. So we will find that weakness and we will preview it. We will also, just finish off quickly on our team of the season. I'm really happy with it. I think we've got it genuinely pretty much spot on, apart from maybe 1 or 2 slight changes, so I really like it. Quickly, before we leave, what is my prediction for the FA Cup final? I think 2-1 Manchester United, but we shall see. But other than that, thank you so much to everyone which has been involved in this stream. We haven't had quite as many people for this one, but I was aware that would be the case. But thank you so much to everyone who has joined and for all of the support on the channel lately. It has been fantastic. Thank you, Edwick44, for the £10 donation. It means the absolute world. And also Ali with the $5 as well. I really can't put into words how much I appreciate it. That sort of thing really does go a long way to helping this channel, so I really appreciate it. And I will put it towards a microphone for the channel. And hopefully we can get one soon. Before we go, Ali with another $2 donation as well, saying, get a drink, mate. Thank you so much. Again, I really appreciate it. So shout out Ali, shout out Edwick with the 2 donations, or the 3 donations in total, sorry. Thank you so much, I really do appreciate it. Again, thanks to everyone who's been in the chat. Thanks for getting your thoughts in, your tactics in, some of your discussion points in, and some of your disagreements as well, because they are important. Thank you so much to everyone for what has been another really good stream. As I said, we will hopefully be live at the weekend if United are able to win the FA Cup. If not, we will see something next week. Apart from that, thank you guys for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one.